going on, YouTube viewers? It's Jeremy Johnson with the Indie Investment Group doing a walk down through in our basement of the duplex. Wanted to show everybody kind of some of the things that we're dealing with when it comes to a lot of our HVAC equipment and some of the things that's really important to do in a rental and definitely important to do in your duplex the correct way. And I'm going to show you what was not done the correct way. And yeah, so this ought to be a fun little quick video just talking about some of that, and we'll go from there. All right, so down here in the basement, if you look behind me, you can see where we used to have a laundry vent running through the window here, and it was blowing. They actually had it blowing straight out across the wall. So we had a lot of dirt, and then had all this other issue. So what's one of the reasons why we're moving the laundry upstairs is that the laundry being down here, this is the basement. So what you're doing is you're adding a lot of moisture to your basement if you're not venting everything correctly, and you're making it really difficult for the tenants to really deal with it. We actually are lucky in the fact that we have enough room to do that. So that's one of the things we're doing is we're going to move the laundry upstairs, and I'll show where that's going in a minute. Now, we also were dealing with the HVAC, and as we started to go through, we always want to bring out somebody to service everything, give us some opinions on that. Luckily, we had a very good technician come out here and look at it. What we found was that there was a number of things that were leaking pretty good. And so if you look, what they did was they went ahead and used as best they could some tape and some venting tape. Now, that tape isn't designed to be there forever, and so you end up with a lot of little problems whenever you use a lot of tape. And so what the previous tenants had actually said was that there was a lot of problems with getting heat here because they said that the bedrooms were staying very cold and they weren't getting a lot of heat upstairs. Well, no surprise that some of these vents weren't actually even working. So if I can show you back here, where we had this back here, this venting right here actually wasn't even connected. So it wasn't even blowing any hot air. It was actually just heating the basement at all. So we've gone through and just kind of try to get everything else set up as best it can here. And we checked everything for our HVAC vents as we moved through. We went through everything, made sure that we had good pressure, had good connections on all of these different vents as they went through. And then we found out that where they did an addition, so this is going through a wall. The addition on the other side of this is the upstairs bathroom, and there was no venting at all. So what they were doing was actually just heating the crawl space. So that was another reason why they weren't getting any good heat out of any of the system down here. So what we found was that all this different stuff wasn't being cleaned, hadn't been serviced, and wasn't even connected properly. So, and I'll show you actually on the other side that it was even worse on the other side. But now, this is why it's important as a landlord and as a owner to go through when we're doing these investment properties, and especially whenever you're dealing with this stuff for tenants. The cheapest option isn't always going to be the best option, because the cheapest option sometimes is going to just cause you a lot more problems down the road and could easily end up costing you a lot more in service calls and maintenance than if you'd have just done it right the first time. So follow me over here. This is where the laundry's going to go. So this is where they did an add-on to, there's a bathroom behind me right here, and this is to the back door. This is the new door that Jed put in, new window, and this is where all of the laundry will go. So you can see we have a 220 there. Everything is set up for that. And then there's drain pipe running beneath us. So we're going to extend this wall. That's not where the fridge is going to go. If you want to look into the kitchen, the kitchen is complete disarray. That'll be probably next week's video, what we're doing there. But we're going to take that bump out you see right there, and we're going to extend that wall a little bit and make kind of a long half wall to turn this into a nice little laundry area. So next week, we'll give you a good update on what's going on with that. But let me take you next door and show you the same problem we had over there. All right, so the downstairs on the other unit had a lot of, they did a beautiful job of putting up some drywall onto the ceiling that is now all over the floor. So they had it all over the ceiling, and it looked really nice. It was very pretty. Problem was that you can't get to anything in the ceiling. And why do you need to do that if you're not finishing the basement? So the basement wasn't finished, but they decided to go ahead and put up drywall on the top of the ceiling in the basement which kept us from being able to get to the venting and to the electrical lines. So we had to take it all down because, again, we're not finishing the basement, so it doesn't make any sense to do it that way. I wanted to show everybody also, we had a lot of, we had this paneling here on the walls on the basement down here, and it was just flimsy paneling. It just does nothing. So, but what we had was, we have, if you can see, we have some mold down here where it was getting some moisture, and there's a little bit of damage back here. So what it was it was ugly. So the previous owners thought this is really ugly, so they didn't want to mess with it, so they put up paneling to hide it. But when you put up paneling on your basement like this, what it was doing was it was keeping in this moisture. So if you look down here, you can see what I'm talking about. This thing is all just wet and gross. So anytime they ever got any type of moisture down in the basement, it was seeping in, and then it was stuck behind this paneling, which is why we were getting mold. So we're going to clean this up. Whenever you're dealing with foundation issues like this, what we're finding is that, and everybody else is telling us, is that you got to attack it from two sides. So we've got to fix it from this side, and we're going to clean it up, and we'll probably end up putting some type of waterproofing on this side, and then we're going to clean it up from the outside. So what we're going to do out there, and I'll catch that as we put the roof on next week, we're going to fix the gutters. We're going to go through and make sure that the concrete gets leveled out better so that we're having better concrete slopage, because right now the water's sloping towards the basement. So we'll fix that when Jed fixes all the concrete issues outside. Okay, but I wanted to show the same thing here. So the same thing on this side. Tenants telling us about how they couldn't get any heat. Heat wasn't working very well. And so lo and behold, look over here and you can see right behind me. That could be a problem. Should be an easy problem. But that's absolutely what we're dealing with. It's like these connections weren't done perfectly, and they weren't done, and they weren't tested and checked. So what we were running into was that these HVAC was in actually pretty decent shape. You can actually hear it running right now. I'll show you. See, it's running. Heat's working, everything. No big issues, but they weren't getting any heat. Well, let's see. So if we follow the exterior pipe up here, let me spin around. There's the connection to the main floor. Look at this. I don't know if you can see. Let me move this around. This is just breaking off in my hand. And then this other one's even worse. This right here is a vent that goes all the way up to the second floor. So this vent here was what was going to feed into one of the main bedrooms upstairs. And this one, when we got up to the next level and we're looking at it from the family room, wasn't connected properly either. So it was just leaking. So all of these had some major leaks, and they weren't getting their heat up to where they needed to. So going with the cheapest route, I'll just get some duct tape, I'll just get some other connections, and we'll make this work as best we can. And then they started to doing stuff like this. Let me look up behind us here. They have electrical wire running through the venting to go up to the second floor. So they did that so they could get an outlet up to the second floor from down here. That's not our electricians. That was an older electrician that did that. Well, look, it's not, now the vent's not connected. Here's the one side of the vent, and here's where she needs to be going. So you've got this gap. So all they were doing was heating the basement. So the basement was probably one of the warmest areas in this house in the winter, because I have 3 different ducts that were completely blowing hot air into the basement. Here's the other unit's kitchen. I want to show the before. They had these base cabinets, 4 of them here, none on the other wall at all. And you had this 4 or 5 cabinet base and none on the other wall again. That will not be the way we're doing it. And if you turn around with me, you can see that this little area here, this is a nice little cutout. We got some nice built-ins back here. We got this nice cabinet piece back here. And then back here is going to be where the laundry will go, and where there is currently a bathroom right there behind me. So there's that bath and back door. We're going to be fixing all of that. So next week we'll talk about the kitchens, because we're going to get all the cabinets out of here and then put in new cabinetry. And then I've got some good news from estimators that I've talked to for the area, and more from the business side of it too, that I think everybody would be interested in, and we'll talk about that also. So here's our porch. We're outside. Wanted to show everybody just a real quick video this week of what we've been doing, and I hope that everybody really enjoyed this, and I appreciate every single one of you for paying attention or watching any of our videos, and stay tuned.